Thank you for tuning in. I'm Elisa, a PhD student at the University of Zurich. I'm grateful for the opportunity to present my job market paper here at AFE. In this paper, I provide novel experimental evidence on the economic benefits of obesity in a low-income country setting. The broad research question that I tackle in this paper is when do visible status goods have economic benefits? In the original theoretical framework of Veblen, status goods provide status utility but have no economic value. In fact, conspicuous consumption is considered wasteful. While the literature has provided evidence of demand for status and of positional externalities, the question of whether status goods consumption is hedonistic or purely or also instrumental is still open. My hypothesis is that status goods may lead to economic benefits if they are exploited as an informal wealth screening device. This, for example, may happen when formal verification technologies are expensive or just not available, as it is the case in developing countries. In this paper, to test for this hypothesis, I investigate whether being obese leads to economic benefits in a low resource setting, because obesity is exploited as a signal of wealth. Why do I look at obesity? Obesity has the characteristics of a status good in low-income countries because many of the world's poor cannot afford to gain weight. In fact, obesity prevalence correlates positively with measures of socioeconomic status in low-income countries. Obesity is also very visible and relatively costly to fake as compared to other status goods that can be easily rented, such as cars or clothes. To look into the economic benefits of obesity, I focus on credit markets because this is an economic interaction which is very prone to market failures related to asymmetric information. I implement the experiments in the urban area of Kampala in Uganda. Testing for the causal effect of obesity is quite challenging, especially using observational data, because body mass realizations are endogenous to individual preferences and lifelong constraints. Also, in experimental setting, the idea of randomizing calories consumption to affect body mass raises strong ethical concerns. Therefore, my approach in this paper is to randomize body mass using photomorphed portrait of Kampala residents, as you can see in this example. I collect the portraits of 30 Kampala residents, and for each portrait I build two versions, a higher body mass and a lower body mass. On average, the lower body mass photomorphed pictures are normal weight, while the higher body mass pictures are severely obese. Exploiting the within portrait variation, I get the causal effect of being obese as opposed to normal weight or less equal. Here are my results. On the left-hand side, I begin by showing to you that indeed obesity is perceived as a signal of wealth in this context. Kampala residents rate the wealth of randomly selected photomorphed portraits. The results show that obese portraits are systematically rated as wealthier than their normal weight counterpart. Moving to the center graph, here I show you the result of a field experiment with 124 small financial institutions. In this experiment, I interviewed 2 loan officers per institution and asked them to rate 30 hypothetical loan applications. Loan officers have the incentives to evaluate the applications truthfully because based on their preference, they receive referrals of real borrowers. Since a loan officer paid based on performance, they do care about good referrals. Each loan application includes a photomorphed portrait as the borrower identifier, which is standard in Kampala. The results here show you that the same application, when associated to an obese photomorphed portrait, is more likely to be approved. Finally, I test for the asymmetric information mechanism. In the experiment, I randomly assign the amount of asymmetric information between borrowers and lenders by changing the amount of wealth information in the application. The right-hand side graph shows you that reducing asymmetric information by including wealth information in the application reduces obesity benefits by nearly 70%. The study provides novel field experimental evidence on the economic benefits of obesity, a status good in low resource setting. In the paper, I discussed the implication for anti-discrimination policies in the credit market, as well as obesity prevention policies in low-income countries.